everyone, to Krypton to Alderaan. That sound just came from our podcast. That thing's operational. I'm Joey, your Star Wars lover. And with me, I have one for everyone this time. With me is Royish Goodlooks.
Hello, podcast.
The Batman to our Robin.
Hello.
And Professor Dr. Lorelei.
Hello.
That's us.
That's us.
We're back.
Woo!
Woo! And we're the podcast that talks all about nerdy pop culture stuff, but it's mostly Star Wars. We have been away for a while. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out while we've been away. This episode, we are going to talk about what we've been up to and what we've been into, and we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to join into the conversation. So, to do that, you can reach out with your feelings. Man, it's been a while since I've said that. We're at Krypton to just search Krypton to Alderaan on all social media, or you can pew us an email at kryptontoalderaan@gmail.com. And lastly, if you could please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's been a hot minute since we've had a review, and they're really nice, and they make us feel good, and it helps the show. So that's that. That's all the things. I think I nailed it. Hello, friends.
Hi.
Hi, Joey.
How are we all doing? How is everybody?
We are in the same time zone, not only just on the same podcast, but same time zone.
Same time zone, same podcast. Should that be our slogan from now on? I know, it's great when we can text each other and be like, when do you want to record? 4 o'clock. And I don't have to do like mental gymnastics. The mental gymnastics being -2 hours.
Let me pull out my sundial.
To figure out if we can meet. Yeah, it's great. This is what we've been up to. Lorelei and I have moved from Wyoming to Pennsylvania. We're back on the East Coast. How is it being back on the East Coast, Lorelei?
It is nice to be in the same time zone as a lot of people, more people than in Wyoming. But yeah, it's good. It's hot. It's humid. It's loud. There's cars, etc.
We're much further away from the sun, which I really appreciate.
It's very green.
Yep.
Stuff actually grows here. It's not like constantly trying to die, which is nice.
The stuff's not constantly trying to die. I'm not constantly trying to die. We're all good. How are you two?
We are also good. We do not have an elevation change or a time change of our own, but we've been having a good time this summer. We've been doing a lot of gardening, a little bit of travel. It's the same old stuff with us. You guys are like starting a new chapter. Your story's a little bit more interesting with Catchup. If people have been wondering where we've been, it's like, we've just been waiting to podcast again till Joey and Lorelei's life stop being so busy.
It's our fault.
Or maybe that it's not even less busy now, just that we've agreed to start the podcast back up.
I think it's less busy. I feel less busy for sure. Because I'm not like tearing a house apart and putting it back together. So
Some of
that's
us
nice.
Feel more busy.
Oh, well,
Joey.
yes. But okay. Me personally, less busy. Lorelei, more busy. Lorelei started teaching at a university this week.
I did. It's a lot of work.
We complained about that off air. She complained about that off air.
Sure
so
did.
we won't go into it. Robin, how are you?
I'm swell. Like Roy said, there's not really anything monumental happening over here.
We went to the beach yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I want to go to the beach. What beach?
Nice. Lots of people. Asbury Park.
And as we were walking to the Asbury Distillery, we heard Simple Plan sound checking at the Stone Pony, a show of which we did not have tickets to.
No.
Bummer.
Simple Plan in Sum 41.
Nice.
But we were there like a week or two earlier for Dashboard Confessional in
that's where
Jack's
that was.
Mannequin or Andrew McMahon. Yeah, same venue. We like that spot.
I really like Andrew McMahon. I've been on an Andrew McMahon kick lately. Okay, so this episode is going to be, if you're not familiar with the show, at the beginning of every episode, we do like what we're into kind of content catch up. We're going to make this whole episode that. We're going to talk about some of the stuff we've been into over the past several months while we haven't been podcasting. There's some more behind the scenes. For some reason, this segment of the podcast creates a high level of anxiety for most of the hosts of this show. And I was thinking that maybe by like having 4 months off from the podcast, however long it's been, that it would be a little bit easier because like Royce texts me every week about a new podcast he's listening to. But when it comes to like writing it down for the show,
We all need to start journaling, I think, about various things.
I would agree.
But
Yeah, I'd like to start journaling. It's hard to, so we've all probably consumed a ton of stuff. I don't think there's a shortage. It's hard to say like, what do I want to talk about on the show? Even when we're on our normal week-to-week schedule, which hopefully we'll be on after this episode, that we go on the bi-weekly recording again. But it's hard to pick one thing and you're like, I really care about this, and the listeners will also care about this, rather than like, want to hear about my new Lego set? Although that would probably go over pretty well every week.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
I'm banking on that being our base. I was hoping this wouldn't be an anxiety-driven episode, and I hope it wasn't. But that's what we're going to do this time. What the top 3 pieces of content you've enjoyed over the past several months, whether it's a TV show, movie, podcast. Lorelai, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So based on number of hours consumed,
Oh, no.
I would say probably both of us, the number one is, you guessed it, Love Island. The gift that just keeps giving because there's 80 episodes per season.
Is that real?
Yeah, they release a new
daily.
episode every day in the summer.
But 80.
I think it's 80, somewhere between 70. It's not exactly the same every year, but yeah, I think we're up to episode 50 or something. Like
That's insane.
every day for the summer, Monday through Friday, 5 episodes a week. So it's a lot of content. You gotta love it. You just have to.
I don't think that you do have to.
You sure do.
It's really, really bad for my brain. It makes my brain feel bad, and it makes the rest of me feel bad. And there's like no good people on the show.
It's not true.
It's that you're supposed to watch it to bask in other people's misfortunes and drama. You're not supposed to watch it to...
The problem is that they're not unfortunate. They're all like very well-to-do. I think there's a lot of like issues with the way the show is like created and run. It's
Wow.
very like heteronormative, and it's very like models and all kinds of stuff like that. But
So is there some kind of twist? What's the theme for the season? Is it like there's
never
2
really-
Love Islands?
No,
there's another island over there.
They do the same things every year. Pretty much the structure doesn't change. Every once in a while, they'll mix it up a little bit
The biggest
by like kicking off people in a different way. For the most part, it is the same. The biggest change that they made this year was that they were only allowed to wear thrifted clothes during the show, which was like, because they usually would get like some sort of clothing sponsor. And so all of their clothes would be like really fancy, and they like wear different outfits every day. So it's very wasteful. So that was a criticism that they addressed by making them all wear thrifted clothes, which is kind of fun. The outfits have been
Sustainable
great.
island.
Yeah, sustainable island. They're also like not allowed to drink, which is, I think after the first couple seasons, they made that rule. They're allowed one drink per night. And on party nights, they can have 2 drinks.
That's probably a good rule for broadcasting in general.
Yes, exactly. So they don't get
So
too
none
messy.
of the bros.
1 drink per episode, Joey.
But they also, this season, they also started off very differently, where they let the public pair
yeah.
the couples up. Usually, like, the men and women come in and, like, choose who
They want.
they, like, rotate whether the men get to pick a woman, the women, or vice versa, right?
Oh, no, it's always the men get to pick.
Oh, all right. Well, this season, the public chose.
Yes. So that was a fun new thing. And have any of them stayed together?
I don't know.
One couple
But
has.
tell Royce what the biggest like twist in the show is. Every season there's one particular.
There's a twist, and it's called Casa Amor. Dun dun dun. So basically, they like have spent probably 6 weeks building up relationships with people like in the main villa, and then at a certain point they send either all the boys or all the girls to another, basically Love Island 2, where there's like an entire new group of men or women for them to like meet, and then it's this whole big thing over like whether they'll bring back a new partner and like in the process dump their old partner or not. So it's always shocking. It never goes the way you think it will. It's a weird show. It's not like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, like it's like one person dating a whole bunch of people.
Also
but like,
weird.
Also weird. But on Love Island, they
not
like
for that reason, but
they
also
couple
weird.
up into these couples and they sleep in the same bed. You're in a couple, you're sleeping in the same bed, you're supposed to hang out together, and then like they'll do a recoupling, and then it's like, bye, I'm in this person's bed now, and you're right next to me in the next bed over.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like super crazy, but imagine explaining that to someone like 30, 40 years ago.
I know, they'd be like, what? Anyway, Love Island. I could have a whole separate Love Island podcast, probably.
Top of mind is Umbrella Academy, season 3.
Oh, yes.
Which I thought was very good. Have you guys had a chance to watch that yet?
It's actually on my list as well, so we'll double that one up.
So let's do that. Let's talk about Umbrella Academy.
Hooray.
They just announced season 4.
Final season.
So
Sad face.
I guess we're like skipping right to the end with that, but I'm sad that season 4 will be the last season, but I'm also very like happy that they're not going to try to make it too much. Like, Robin, you and I were talking a couple of months ago about the comics, and like at this point the show has gone beyond the actual writing of the Umbrella Academy comics, which is fine. They never really, the themes were similar, but there were a lot of differences. But I'm really happy that they're going to they have a definite ending. They understand that this is how far they're going to go, and then that's it. So there's no like stretching it out too long or like having people get tired of it and it get canceled, so it's never resolved kind of thing. So it's kind of bittersweet for me, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I'm sad that it's ending, but I'm happy they have, the heads up, so it's not just going to be something really sloppy. Like, there's definitely been shows on regular TV that I feel like they get halfway through a season and they're like, oh crap, we're getting canceled. Better wrap all this up.
And they all lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
Very suddenly.
How is the Umbrella Academy crew? This should be a different episode of our podcast, but like, how could the Umbrella Academy crew possibly live happily ever after? Like, how do they fix all the different time streams?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I also loved season 3. Tell me how you feel about this, Robin. Season 3, I had so much fun watching season 3, but I also think it was like the messiest season that there's been so far.
I would agree with that. There was a lot that I really, really liked. Klaus being my favorite character. I loved seeing more about him. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a huge fan of the Sparrow Academy. I thought a lot of those characters and people they chose to play them were not really super entertaining or super great actors.
Like one of them was just a cube.
Mm-hmm. Which I wanted an explanation because...
They treated him pretty normal. Yeah.
Was it an accident because of his power? Because they set the entire series up as these were random babies, born like human babies. Yeah. And there's this
not one of them's a cube. Babies.
Weird. Was it supposed to be like a flesh cube? I couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be.
All right. No, never allowed to say flesh cube again on Krypton to Alderaan. Yeah, I liked some of them, I guess, but also... Yeah, I just really liked this season and I thought it was a lot of fun, but just like chaotic and in some parts a little bit like messy, but very timey-wimey, as we say. And I love Klaus. Oh, and if you just throw, I think they did this in season 1 and then again in season 3, but I don't remember them doing it in season 2. But if you just throw like that random dance sequence thing that they did, that's very entertaining to me. You're going to have me hooked after that. I'm very glad it was in like the first, or it must have been the first episode.
It was right when they like met them. They all had a dance off.
Yeah.
I think they did do it in season 2, but I can't remember what it was or why.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty positive they've done one every season.
Every season. I'll have to go back and watch. But yeah, I distinctly remember the one in season 1. And this one lives in my head rent free, as the kids say. What did you think? Did you like Umbrella Academy season 3, Laura?
Yeah, I was more entertained by this season than I was the previous season for whatever reason.
I really liked season 2. I really liked them all.
I enjoyed the historical aspects of season 2, but I thought it was a little bit more fun, like more similar to the first season, and then it was just kind of silly and fun. I wasn't sure if they would have another season.
They didn't. I mean, they just announced it yesterday.
Yeah, they wrapped it up like fine,
I don't know. It was pretty messy at the end.
I mean, it was very messy, but then it was like, oh, here we all are. Now we're just going to walk away like we don't know each other. Like,
yeah, sad. Yeah, that was sad.
Super sad.
I was so happy. Well, I don't want to like spoilers for the show. Spoiler alert, skip ahead. But I was very happy that Luther came back. I hope that like doesn't get undone with them fixing the timeline. Because for some reason, I just fell in love with that big lug. I really like all of the characters,
he is lovable.
Actually. Yeah. Yep.
Agreed.
I didn't like what's her face. I feel like they really made her a villain this season.
Oh, Allison.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough because like you never know how anyone would react in that situation. And like maybe unfortunately, like maybe some of the people who write shows know, but it's really tough to watch and it's really tough to critique, I think, sometimes. But yeah, she like maybe crossed some lines with rumoring Luther and going a little far, taking it a little far, maybe. Royce, you got anything about Umbrella Academy?
I thought the season maybe was a little bit jumpy around and kind of herky-jerky, but I like where they left it. Not as for like an ending, if that was going to be the last season, but I do like what comes next. They have this like alternate reality and like Hargraves is up in that tower and he like took over the world. I want to see where that goes. So I'm in. I'm glad they're doing another season.
He has his wife back.
Is that who that was? Because we were like not quite sure.
His wife back from the moon.
From being frozen on the moon. Yeah, here's my theory. My theory is that the woman that Luther fell in love with took her place so that Hargreaves could have her back. That's what I think. Because she's missing at the end of I can't remember her name, but she's missing at the end of the show. Anyway, tune in to Krypton to Alderaan whenever the 4th season airs, and we'll talk more about that.
The final season of Better Call Saul. I think it was the 6th season or 5th season. 5th and or 6th. It was one that they split up into like 2 halves. So you don't know. 6B. And that's on like real TV. Like it's fun to watch a TV show versus like streaming series. Like I assume Love Island, you're streaming it. Like, well, that's every day though. There's a new one every day.
If we lived in the UK, then it would be like, yes, we would gather around the television at 8 p.m. every day to watch Love Island. How fun would that be?
Joey would love that.
Yeah.
No response.
But I love that like every Monday at 9, we're like, there's Better Call Saul on. And there's not a lot of shows that we do that with, like Jeopardy, I guess. But it's not quite the same as your like epic serialized TV. Although I might have to put Jeopardy on my list of things that I'm into. But anyway, so Better Call Saul every Monday at 9, they did their final season. What was really interesting about this season is every season of the show has started with a flash forward into something that happened after Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul being a prequel to Breaking Bad. So they always start with this like epilogue of like where Saul is after the original Breaking Bad series. And they show that scene in black and white. And then the normal show in the prequel era is all in color. And for this final season, they started the series that way. And it wasn't just like one scene. It's usually just like a little teaser scene. And they kept playing it out. And you're like, oh, they're changing the format. And it was like an entire plot line after. And they interjected plot lines in the prequel era and the sequel era. And it was kind of cool the way that they did it. It was a little weird. Like, if you didn't see Breaking Bad, you definitely would be kind of confused. But they pinned it well with things that happened post-Breaking Bad being in this black and white territory. And the regular timeline brings you right into Breaking Bad. And they do like a ton of cameos with original Breaking Bad people. And then they sort of like give him a redemption arc. They like bookend his entire story, like the prequel into Breaking Bad and what happens to him after Breaking Bad. And I know that Joey doesn't give 2 shits about Breaking Bad, but for someone who likes universes, like you got the DC universe, you've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you got Star Wars. It's only 2 shows and I guess a Netflix film, El Camino. But like there's this like Breaking Bad universe and they do a pretty good job of like marrying Breaking Bad with Better Call Saul. Not in just like tying the 2 shows like timelines together, but things that cross over and like you get prequels of more than just the character Saul. There's like Gus Fring and how he starts to build his drug empire and Mike, the like gruff cop guy. Like you see so much stuff. There's a lot of great characters. The people that run that show do a fantastic job. I really hope that there's another Breaking Bad, like Breaking Bad U, something in the works. But when the show ended, they teased that Bob Odenkirk is going to be in some other series and Giancarlo Esposito is going to be in another series. And I think both of those are AMC shows.
Yeah.
So they're going to be back in like other shows. And it was like end credits roll, promo for like the 2 main actors next show. They're like, Smart. They will return in a different series. Please watch that. But anyway, so that's over. But they did an interesting job giving that, like I said, bookends of like the very beginning of the character and the very, very end, which I don't know if like a lot of other TV shows have done that. It was kind of interesting to me. Did you enjoy Better Call Saul, Robin, since you watched it all with me?
I did, yeah. But I don't want them to make any more Breaking Bad spinoff shows because I think they got very, very lucky with Better Call Saul being a good show. I think if you do anything else, it's going to be a little bit stretching it. Like, who else could you possibly care about and focus on without it just being completely repetitive? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Yeah.
No one.
There's a whole universe, though. Like, there's so many other characters. It's no different than, like, we're going to give the Mandalorian a show. Like, that's exactly it. You could pick any random character and give them a show.
It's the BBU.
BDU, baby.
Breaking Bad universe. Royce, I don't know how to talk about Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, but I do find it very interesting that, like, we probably have the receipts in one of the episodes of this podcast where you don't like when they change the format of a show. Like, but now you've said it in a very positive way. So maybe if it like maybe in retrospect, if it plays out well.
So here's the thing, though, that Better Call Saul is a really slow show. And Breaking Bad is also very slow at times. Like, you watch that show as more of a like cinematic experience of like, I'm watching these shots that are like really well composed from the like craft of filmmaking, rather than like, there's going to be explosions and CGI and buy the merchandise. It's much more of like a character and story driven thing rather than like, there's lightsabers and the Force. There's no like guise of special effects, you know, and bright colors. And like I said, like the whole part of the timeline is just in black and white. And it really does force you to just like think about the characters and stuff. And also the episodes are like almost always over an hour and they just give it enough time to tell the story. So when I'm watching that, I have a little bit more patience, you know, rather than I'm like, fly in the X-Wings, you know, and I want to hear da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na. Like there's just not the same expectation. But you're right. They kind of changed the format up, but it was welcomed and it ended like for the series finale, it made sense. Like, okay, they want to show where he ends up, but fair point.
One of the things on my list, like I said, was Umbrella Academy. So I'll go with a different one. Miss Marvel.
Oh, right.
Miss Marvel was an incredible show. I loved every minute of that show. I don't think there was like a moment or an episode that was like anything less for me. I just loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the actors. It's such a shame that they put it up against Obi-Wan. It just wasn't going to work like that. But it was a very good show. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It was just
how many episodes?
And just very lovely. Not a lot.
8, maybe?
Yeah, 6 or 8. You two haven't watched it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you should give it a go. It's fun. It's good. And yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm loving it's just another layer on the delicious sandwich that is also a well-rounded meal that is Phase 4 for me. Phase 4 is hitting it out of the park, in my opinion. They've done the big, like you were saying, Royce, the big like cinematic Infinity War type thing. And now Phase 4 seems much more like character driven and development driven and like very personal, I think maybe is my best way to describe it. So I'm really enjoying it. And I really liked Miss Marvel. What did you think, Lorelai? I think the only other person here who watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I think we were not the target audience for that show and that it did feel a little bit more like kiddie. It felt like the target audience was teenagers, which I get. Like, not every show is going to be targeted for me. For example, I enjoyed the first episode of She-Hulk a lot more, which I think is like something I'm just like going to connect with that character more, which is, you know, that's why we make diverse television.
Sure.
And I think you're right that it is like a layer in the sandwich. Like it's going to draw in different people.
The MCU sandwich.
The MCU sandwich. I mean, it was entertaining. It just like wasn't my most favorite thing in Phase 4, but that's fine.
And that's fine.
We need to find a word for when something exists inside of a universe and you're like, it wasn't the great, like, it was not as good as Endgame. Like, you know, it's it's not going to be, and that's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's why I think I agree, but that's why I think they're doing a great job with these phases, at least like breaking things out into different phases puts like this structure in it that's like, okay, well, maybe like phase 1 through 3 were the Infinity Saga, and that's like under this umbrella of the Infinity Saga. And now we've got the umbrella of like Kang and the Secret Wars and all the stuff that's coming in the next few phases as an overarching thing. It seems very scheduled and very professional. I don't know, very
orchestrated.
I don't know what the right word is. Yeah. It just seems like the best way to do it, I guess is what I'm saying. Like they know what they're doing.
I have another that we can all probably chime in on to some degree. One thing that I've been really excited about, which I was surprised to be as excited about. I was kind of going to skip over this because I saw a lot of people talking about it. And I'm like, how much of a big deal could it be? But there's this filmmaker guy. He went viral on TikTok for making a fan edit of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And he chopped all the 6 episodes down into like a 2 or 3 hour movie. It got really good reviews. Like it went viral and like real news organizations were reporting on it. Like it's a fan edit. But it got like real press, like Variety like wrote a piece about it. He takes some creative liberties of like, he puts in a new scene. There's like a new stormtrooper guy next to Vader when Vader is burning Obi-Wan and they get away. And you're like, why didn't Darth Vader go after Obi-Wan? And he's got a stormtrooper and the stormtrooper is like, should we pursue him, Vader? And he like overdubs audio that he like recajiggered from the original films. And Vader says like, no, not yet. So he does little things to like fix parts of the plot that he didn't like. And he puts in some of the original scores and whatnot and takes out some of the scenes that are slower or just like, there's a lot of like the Reva stuff that he takes out. Like you don't see Luke getting attacked by Reva and whatnot. A lot of creative liberties, but it's like plays as one movie. And a lot of it I really liked. And there's especially like there's one scene when Vader's fighting Obi-Wan for the last time, like when Obi-Wan kicks his butt. And like right towards the end where you're like, Obi-Wan's going to like finish him off. Like if there wasn't a New Hope or like the rest of the series. And he hears Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon goes, he is the chosen one. He will bring balance to the Force. And that's when he's like, goodbye, old friend, or goodbye, Vader, Darth. And like, that's a cool way to do it. So there was a lot of like the stuff we do on our show. Like they should have made this happen and that happen. And he made his own fan edit. And I love it. So not only that, but Kai Patterson, he went viral after this and people were like, can you do Boba Fett too? Re-edit Boba Fett. And he was like, maybe. And somebody else also cut up Obi-Wan at the same time, but like didn't go viral. And so those two guys teamed up. There's Kai Patterson, Kai Patterson, and then Pentex Productions. And so they teamed up to re-edit Boba Fett as well. And what they did with Boba Fett pretty much fixed all my gripes with Boba Fett. My gripes being the format of the show with all their flashbacks. And so they broke it up into 2 parts. Part 1 being, they called it Without a Tribe. There's a line where Boba Fett goes, you can't get very far without a tribe. And so the part 1 is all about him and the Tusken Raiders. And it's that entire story in chronological order. And he interjects it with what's going on with the Mandalorian at that same time. And you see bits and pieces of season 1 and season 2 of Mandalorian. There, because he meets, he goes to Tatooine. He meets that random bounty hunter guy that wants to be in the guild.
Yeah.
And that's when they first meet Fennec Shand and they tease Boba Fett. I think that's season 1.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is. So they tell the Tusken Raider story of Boba Fett and season 1 and 2 Mandalorian stories that tie in with Boba Fett, all in chronological order. And it ends with them finally giving Grogu back to Luke. That's part 1. And then part 2 is Boba Fett taking back Tatooine. And that's called With Honor, Dying with Honor, or whatever he says to Mando, something like that. And it's great in chronological order. So anyway, if you want to check those out, search for Kai Patterson and you can watch his re-edits. It's just funny because we complain about things like they should have done it this way or that way, and all we do is bitch about it. But this guy actually recut the show and occasionally like added in new things that he takes the speeders that are all brightly colored and desaturates them. So they're just chrome.
That's cool.
So it's his own like edit, obviously. Maybe you think this is crazy or not, but that's his take on it. And I love it as someone who like has remixed a lot of copyrighted content in his career.
Yeah.
I respect it.
I don't know if I necessarily like them. Like that was part of the mods being the mods was their like those speeders. But other than that, yeah, you sent them to me. I didn't watch them. I got to look this up because we do a lot of like headcanon fan edit type stuff. I've tried, especially in like recent years, to be respectful. Like obviously, right, we're all like content creators, so I want to like respect the content that was produced. So there's a fine line there, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? Like with some of the people who edited Cad Bane because they didn't like the way he looked. It's like, I mean, there were creative decisions made by creative professionals. And
well,
so
okay,
it's
let me counter though that. He just took Obi-Wan to cut it down to a movie, and he took Boba Fett and put it chronologically. I think those were like kind of the initial briefs for those projects, rather than like, this is bad, I'll do it better. It was like, I'm just going to kind of tweak the way they presented these things. Now it's a movie. Now it's chronological.
I'll have to look it up. I don't know enough about it. I'll look into it a little bit more. But also, like, I understand what you're saying, but to the point of chronological order. I get wanting to see things in a certain order, or maybe it being more appealing, but like, come on, Star Wars is not in chronological order. It's like its thing. So I know it's fine both ways, I think.
There's so much stuff that crosses over with Mando season 1 and 2, though, that with all due respect to the franchise, like, I don't think it's a matter of like, this is just a better way to watch it, but it is interesting to see the story in order and how things actually correlate. I'm sure a lot of people are like, how does this even line up with all that? And this explains it. There's that scene in the Book of Boba Fett where he sees that bright flash off in the distance on Tatooine. And that's when Mando was fighting with Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
And Boba goes and checks that out. You see that in the Book of Boba Fett, but that happened in season 1 of Mandalorian, a show that was like 3 years ago. So it's just interesting that now you can be like, oh, that one little moment that, you know, Fringe fans might miss. Although Fringe fans probably aren't going to watch a fan edit. But anyway.
Yeah. Who knows? It's like a machete order type thing. Yeah, just gotta look it up. Just gotta know more about it.
Did they edit those speeder bikes to make them the correct speed?
That's so funny. So I listened to all of our Boba Fett episodes today as well on 2.5 times speed. It's very interesting to listen to our commentary and then watch like this re-edit. It fixes a lot of things. Yes, they cut that down like so fast. Like the chase starts and it like immediately ends. And yes, you went on a tangent. I'm like,
I was like, this is not okay.
Yeah, you're like, they have a lot of money. There's no excuse for there not to be a cool chase scene.
It's true. I'll stand my ground on that one. Like literally anybody with eyes could watch that and be like, this sucks.
I love it. Still going on the tangent. That's great. Oh, also in those episodes, it was you and me, I think on our like one-on-one episode we did or whatever. I was like, I'm not going to rewatch this show unless they put it in chronological order. And here we are.
Here we are.
A few weeks ago, we finally got to see Lightyear when they started streaming it on Disney Plus.
Oh, we haven't watched that.
We have not watched it yet.
Don't spoil it.
Highly recommend.
Okay.
I don't know how to not spoil it without just saying highly recommend.
Okay.
I want to watch it real
good.
bad. Yeah, we're behind on a lot of stuff.
What's your review of Lightyear though? Just watch it. That's the review.
I kind of wish the movie was just Socks, but it was still a very good movie.
Is Socks the cat?
Socks is the cat. And even more incredible than the trailers for it, I think. I think the entire movie was very good, but I was a little worried that like everything they showed in the trailers of the cat, like that was it. And that was the only scenes with the cat or like the only good scenes, but the entire thing is just like very well made.
Maybe we give Love Island a break tonight and watch Lightyear.
Okay.
How many 2 infinities out of infinity would you both give Lightyear?
All of the infinities.
All of them. Okay. Yeah, I'll watch it.
I will say like the Toy Story connections and like the like discourse on that like is kind of annoying.
Super annoying.
It's weird the way that it's set up and like advertised for, but they start the movie with like in a galaxy far, far away. They like explain what the movie is.
Were you talking about all the discourse that happened in the real world over the movie and stuff?
Yeah, people being like, this doesn't need to exist. It's not Tim Allen. I'm so angry.
Yeah, that's the part
maybe a little
that
over
really
the top.
Me. Yeah. Yeah, like someone, first of all, Tim Allen. Come on. Second of all, like no one else could ever be cast in anything ever. as long as someone already played that role once. It's what a ridiculous idea. Anyway, so dumb, but yeah, I really want to watch it.
It's people that like see it on the surface level and did no independent research. It's like classic humanity of just like, no, I formed an opinion.
Well, it doesn't make sense because how many people have played like Batman or James Bond or Superman?
I was just going to say, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like no one could ever play these characters or voice these characters ever again because one person did it once.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you watch Spider-Man like Homecoming and he's building like Star Wars Legos. That Spider-Man like Star Wars and like multiple people play multiple Star Wars characters, multiple people play Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
And this is just Toy Story. Like there's a bunch of Toy Story movies, but there's only the one Lightyear. It's like not a big deal, but it is kind of weird that like it's an animated thing. So I think that's the first time that's ever happened sort of thing, you know? So maybe that's why people are weird about it. I hope they make another one. They like maybe set up more, but maybe not.
They left the door
But who knows
open.
what like the reaction is if they're like, we have to do another, or if it wasn't a smash or not. I would watch more though if they do a sequel. Lightyear 2.
Yeah.
Beyond Infinity.
Lightyear 2 sucks.
I'm sure they'll make like socks, shorts, and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They need to.
It's your friggin' Nintendo Switch. It better be. And the Pokemon game.
All right, we'll make it that. So, yes, just got a Switch. And I have been playing and absolutely loving Pokemon Legends Arceus. I don't know how to say it, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And I thought I'd love it, but like, okay, so it's like an open world game. There are like missions and stuff and stuff you're supposed to do, but it's pretty open world. You can go and do whatever you want, which no matter how many times I learn the lesson, it always sounds really appealing on the surface. Like I always go back to No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is probably one of the most hyped video games ever made. And I bought it and maybe I play it once a year. It's just impossible for me to have fun playing that game. But it's very like open galaxy, open world. You can fly around in your spaceship to wherever. But the Pokemon game is so much fun. It's reinvigorated my love for Pokemon. I had the Pokemon World Championships on in the background while I was doing stuff last week or whenever they were on. I'm a Pokemon fan again.
He's a Pokemon boy.
I'm a Pokemon boy. I
Once again.
I was scrolling through my pictures of potential Pokemon tattoos. So anyway, it's a great game. Highly recommend. You guys got a Switch, right? Go get it. Pick it up. Play it.
Robin's got Snap, I think, right?
Yeah. Also
I played that
recommend.
on the N64 in whenever the mid to late 90s.
This one is better.
Yeah. Is it different? Is it a different game?
It's very similar, but I remember my biggest complaint in the first game being the pace that the car moved. So it still moves for you, but you can slow it down or speed it up. You can't completely stop it, but if you're like, okay, there's nothing here that I need a picture of, and now I'm just waiting, you can literally just press a button and speed it up. And then there's like alternate trails. And
2 times speed.
So it's more interesting.
Yeah.
I like my Pokemon like I like my podcasts.
2
Fast
times
forward.
speed.
Yeah.
That's fun. So we're all into Pokemon is what I'm hearing. All 4 of us.
Man, I remember when those originally came out. I had some friends that had like a Game Boy Color, and I was like, that's the shit, man. We didn't have a Game Boy Color.
Here's my Game Boy. I'm showing it to the camera. This is Pokemon Red inside this Game Boy. This game has not left this console since probably 1998. Do you two think you'll get this Pokemon game after my stellar review?
Kind of. I never really played any of the other games except for Snap. But I keep seeing, or I haven't in a while, but I was bombarded with the trailer on like, Nickelodeon and Disney Channel before and right after the game came out. And it looks more interesting to me than any of the other ones have. So I think eventually I'll
Merry
probably
Christmas.
end up getting it. Yeah. I'll give you my list.
I'll check it twice.
My last thing, which we've all talked about in person, but we didn't record that, so I'm going to use it again, is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Good choice.
A movie that we watched, an excellent movie.
Yes.
I would say. It was so good. We both really, really enjoyed it. My frame of reference for others is that it's like a combination of, what's the show we watched?
Kim's Convenience.
Kim's Convenience and
Multiverse
of Madness together in one. So,
Except it's a laundromat, right?
except it's
Instead
a
of
laundromat.
convenience store.
It's like really good characters, and it's really fun that it has like the multiverse aspect to the movie. It's again a situation where you can't really talk about it without spoiling it, so you just have to go watch it.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's really funny. It's got a lot of heart.
Yeah. And the timing's all really great. And the way that they like interact with the multiverse is really, I mean, it's just really funny.
It's a really
and
interesting,
intriguing.
yeah, versus, Doctor Strange where he like opens up his little things. Like they have their own way of getting between universes and like what the timey-wimey stuff means.
Yeah, you have to like break into another universe by doing a probably, how do I phrase it? Like probabilistic, unlikely thing to happen. So it's like, all right, well, to get to this universe, you need to get 4 paper cuts in between your fingers. And it's like, that's impossible. And they're like, that's why you have to do it.
And they're like, trying to give themselves paper cuts. It's like, it's really funny.
What is it on?
We
bought the
it,
DVD.
Sight unseen.
I know.
I had a pretty good.
It's got to be on
indication
Netflix or
I don't know if it's streaming.
Prime, maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was worth
Might
a
be
buy,
on HBO.
honestly.
Yeah.
Would watch it again.
Not tonight, though, because we're watching Lightyear.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus, they have a new documentary about the history of industrial light and magic entitled Light and Magic. And it's like a 6-part documentary. Did you guys check any of it or not?
We have not yet. No, it's also on the list.
Man, if you are a movie fan, it's a must watch. Obviously, like you can tie a lot of ILM to Star Wars because that's where it was born out of. But the impact that they have had on the movie universe and like, honestly, I feel like the only reason that we can like podcast right now and like record our own audio and like distribute it ourselves can probably be directly tied back to ILM and Star Wars. It's a pretty amazing documentary. Behind the scenes stuff is just my favorite in general to see how they made things. And like, they're so fucking scrappy. We're making Star Wars and like, we've never done these sorts of things before. And we got to invent the technology to do it. And they show you so many little nuggets of like, oh, that's how they did that scene. That's freaking cool. And I've been reading that Making Star Wars book that Robin got me for like Christmas last year. And it's like basically that on screen, but they go beyond Star Wars. They talk about Jurassic Park and Pixar and Terminator. So they give you like a whole history and it goes from like Star Wars and like the effects they developed for that to like going into computers and like what that did for the entire visual effects industry. And it's a really similar trajectory. If you've ever seen the documentary Sound City by Dave Grohl, the recording industry going from analog tape to digital Pro Tools recording and how that kind of like tanked the entire recording industry essentially. And it's like the same thing with visual effects, that they had these like modeling people and puppets and film. And then George Lucas develops editing on computers and Pixar and animating things. They like kind of destroy part of the film industry as well for like better or worse. There's like some really interesting correlations between all that. But my favorite part is they are interviewing Phil Tippett, one of the guy that did like the stop motion animation for stuff in Star Wars. I think he did like the Tauntaun scene on Hoth and lots of other stuff. He's like good with creatures. They were interviewing him and he's like, that's the only thing that keeps me alive is like my love and passion for like what I'm doing. And they left a lot of things in about like his mental health struggles and whatnot in the documentary. Super passionate about just like animating Tauntauns to like be in a film. It's really cool to like see the insight to all those like creative people at ILM. They talk about how when they're figuring out how to do the dinosaurs for Jurassic Park, they're like, are we going to do these digital or practical? And Phil Tippett was going to be the guy that was going to do all the stop motion for the dinosaurs. And then they had some people that were developing computer dinosaurs and they did like a shootout. And they're like, man, the computer dinosaurs are like pretty fucking sick. And they had to tell Phil Tippett that he wasn't going to be doing the dinosaurs for Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. And you could see he's like, fuck, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
But they bring him on to consult for like the movement of the dinosaurs. He doesn't actually make them and animate them, but he obviously knows the craft of like, here's how you make something that's not real move like it is real. Right. And that's obviously a useful skill, practically speaking. And they incorporated that with some of the digital stuff that they did. It's a must watch, man. It's so cool. Robin, did you enjoy ILM?
Yeah, it was nice.
Or Light and Magic?
Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah, I really want to watch it. We've been working a lot here with like trying to get settled in, and then if we sit down, we're watching Love Island. I think we just have to maybe like stretch our legs a little bit, and
Or we could just finish Love Island.
I don't want that.
So much stuff to watch.
Yeah,
I know.
We already kind of touched upon it, if it counts as consuming content, but this Dashboard Confessional and Andrew McMahon concert, I would put as the highlight of my summer. They both kind of put like teaser videos in their stories on Instagram, like talking to each other. And they're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did a tour together? And I was like, I mean, they're obviously going to do a tour together, but I hope they're not fucking with us. And like a few days later, they announced the tour and then they did a pre-sale. And I noticed the other day, the day of the pre-sale was April 13th, and we saw the show August 13th. So literally it was like 4 months in advance. And for the past 4 months, I've just been like hyped for this show. And I was so excited, and I bought tons of merch.
We literally visited the merch booth like multiple times.
Like
They're like,
3
you guys
times.
again?
that's hilarious.
I walked up, and the woman at the dashboard merch table was like, hey, you're back. And I was like, yep, more stuff, please.
I made Robin buy a tote bag from the merch booth because I was like, you have too much merch. We have to carry this
Put
somehow.
Your merch and other merch.
Yep. I had to buy merch to put my merch in. But like I've been listening to both of them for the past, 20 something years, since like, 7th or 8th grade. So for them to both tour together and to be able to see both of them was awesome. And they're doing 2 live streams for people who couldn't come out to the shows. But I'm still excited about it. So I bought what they referred to as the season pass for both live streams. So the first one was last week, and then the second one is tomorrow night, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
I've never seen a band like 2 times on a tour, other than ones that I've done sound for, but I've never like followed a band on tour. It's crazy. We like saw the show live and then we watched it at home. It was like, the slightly different set list and different, moments that happened. Kind of fun, actually. And I didn't know it was a season pass. That's kind of cool. Like, see them on the whole tour.
Well, they referred to it as the season pass. So you could buy a live stream ticket for one of the shows or both of the shows. And if you bought it for both of the shows, they referred to it as the season pass for the live stream tour. So I'm excited.
Did you have a favorite moment from any of the shows?
Just being there, especially after that was not our first show back, but that was the first, I think, like big show back since November 2019 when we saw Jimmy Eat World at the Chance. But otherwise, like we saw Frank Turner in May, and that was like a bigger show. But to see like Dashboard and Andrew McMahon, and there were so many people, and it was at Stone Pony at the summer stage. So it's like right on the beach, which is my favorite venue. So that was felt like a pretty monumental moment.
I had a favorite moment. The whole show was great, but Andrew McMahon sang Cecilia in the Satellite. Don't be afraid, Cecilia, I'm the satellite and you're the sky, or whatever it is. He brought, presumably, his daughter out on stage, and like she sang the song with him. And man, that fucking wrecked me. I was like, I was drinking, but I was like, this is just such a nice moment. Like this dude has been touring for over 20 years and his daughter's on stage with him at this like sold out show, and there's the lights, and like that was super special. That's really freaking cool.
Yeah, I mean, his daughter, who he wrote the song for before she was even born, which I think is pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty special. And then his daughter was not at the live stream show that we saw. So I was like, oh man, that was kind of like
you had to see that in
moment in time.
She was at the first like 2 or 3 weeks of the tour, and then he went live on Instagram like a week or 2 ago, and someone was like, Cecilia, you're gonna be at the show tonight? And he was like, no, her and my wife had to go home for a little bit, but they'll be back eventually. So maybe towards the end of the tour she'll come back. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I love that song.
It's a good one.
I really like that song a lot. Remember when we saw him, Royce, in college? He came to Oneonta.
Yeah. That was as Jack's Mannequin, I think.
Yeah. It was a good show. I was 11 years ago.
John Bon Jovi cover band opened up.
Still, I don't remember that part.
I'm pretty sure it was a John Bon Jovi cover band, and then Jack's
funny.
Mannequin.
Something for everyone, some might say. It's time for we've done the whole show as everyone but mine's least favorite part of the show. And now we're going to do this part as everyone's favorite part of the show. The surprise question time. I just want to do a quick shout out to Brian from Pink Milk. Brian, if you're listening, Hi, thanks for listening. Hey, I think you're real great. I know you and I discussed a specific surprise question. I'm going to hold that off till next week. So that's a little tease for next episode's surprise question, courtesy of Brian from Pink Milk. Go listen to Pink Milk. They're great. Anyway, my question for you all, we talked all about our shows that we've watched, the content we've consumed over the past few months. Tell me what your favorite or one of your favorite shows was growing up, like something that you sat down, you had to be like Royce, you're saying we sit down at 9 o'clock to watch Better Call Saul. What did you sit down to watch every week as a kid?
So the one that comes to mind is Smallville.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Wow. All right, give me a minute.
Okay,
Vamp.
well, I'll talk about it. Okay, so, I mean, my dad was/is very into Superman. And so when that show came out, it was like a big deal for him. And it was a big deal for us because it aired at 8 p.m. And at that point in our lives, our bedtime was like 8 or 8:30 or something. And so we got to stay up until 9 and we ordered pizza every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We got to watch Smallville and it was just like a fun, nice time.
I agree. Smallville was great. And I also loved it and sat down to watch it every week until we got to college.
Really? I never knew.
I made Royce and I sat down and watched my whole collection of Smallville DVDs. The 10th season came out when it must have been our senior year of college, maybe, or our junior year. It doesn't matter. But before that, while we were roommates, we sat down and we watched them all. I skipped some.
Joey would literally be like, we don't have to watch this episode. And I always thought there's got to be something in there. And he'd be like, nah, skip this one.
Freak of the week.
Especially early on.
Yeah.
Especially early on.
Very little plot.
Villain of the week or whatever.
Yeah, you need 2 minutes at the very end, which is just Clark looking at Lana. I love you.
The show really grew and evolved.
Yeah,
I think.
It did.
Except the episode where he tells Lois, at the end of the series, the episode where he tells Lois he's the red, blue blur was, I think the rest of that episode was so bad. But that moment in that episode is so good. So it's if we put it on today, I'd be I was in college with Roy, I'd be like, we should skip this one. And then remember later that perfect moment is in that kind of bad episode. So it's sad.
Make a fan edit.
It's too late. Robin, what do you got?
First thing that comes to mind is Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh,
TGIF.
Great.
I mean, TGIF
yes.
in general, every single week.
Yeah.
But Sabrina specifically, I remember always being very excited about. It was, I don't know what time, but it was, Friday night, sometime between 8 and 10. And I think it was typically one of the first shows that would come on to kick off TGIF. So I remember that being a moment I would look forward to all week. School's done, it's Friday, Sabrina's on, and then we're going to watch Boy Meets World, and all this other cool stuff's going to come on. And that was kind of what Lorelai was saying. That was really the one night a week where I was allowed to stay up past 9 o'clock or whatever my bedtime was at the time. I could watch everything until 10 o'clock and stay up a little bit later. So that was fun.
Have you watched the new Sabrina stuff that was on Netflix?
It's amazing.
I like it. I like it a lot. I haven't finished it, but I like it a lot.
It's really good. I was skeptical, but I like that it's different and it's darker and it's an interesting twist, I think.
Yeah, it's more comic booky.
Yeah.
Royce.
I liked Sabrina the Teenage Witch a lot. I'm not going to use that as mine. I'll give TGIF a honorable mention, and Walker, Texas Ranger, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Those were the shows that our entire family would watch together, which I assume was the TGIF sort of thing. Maybe even Xena, Warrior Princess was in there.
Oh yeah, I watched the shit out of Xena and Hercules. Too bad about Kevin Sorbo these days.
We didn't have cable, so it was whatever was the big ABC or Fox or NBC show that, or CBS or whatever. Oh, CSI was a big one that we all watched. But for the one I actually have to answer with is gotta be The Simpsons. Every Sunday, Simpsons. My dad would always tape Simpsons pre the 2000s. We had every Simpsons on VHS because we didn't have cable or whatever. So we'd tape The Simpsons, we just watch The Simpsons or Star Wars. And every Sunday I would watch The Simpsons. And when I went to college, I was there's no way I'm not watching The Simpsons every Sunday night. And then college, your life totally turns into something else. And I never, maybe at first, but I fell off the bandwagon. But I always thought, like, I will never miss The Simpsons. And that's probably a decent time to have gotten out of The Simpsons anyway. If you're still a Simpsons fan today, I respect it. But it's not quite what it once was, obviously. But it's still going. And we still catch it every now and then. If we're not, I mean, maybe we'll go watch it tonight, but probably a rerun tonight.
I think it's been better recently. The last few that we watched that were from the current season seemed a little bit closer to like a classic Simpsons vibe.
Sometimes the newer ones can really hit.
I mean, I don't think they've been particularly great for the past like 10 or so years, but recently the few that we've caught, I thought hit a little bit better than anything post-Simpsons movie.
I haven't written it off like Walking Dead style, where you're like, this show is just going in circles. I quit. Like, I'll still catch it when it's on. But it's also not serialized, so it's a little easier to like pick it up and whatnot. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, thanks for teeing that up for me, Royce. That's me hitting the ball off the tee because Royce teed it. I was going to say Smallville, but I won't. I mean, obviously, there's not just one, right? None of us have just one. But
nope, you got to narrow it down to one. Sorry. One drink, one show.
TGIF was a big one. The dinosaurs on TGIF was
dinosaurs.
My favorite. I have it on DVD here somewhere. I can't not mention Saturday morning cartoons, especially in the 90s, X-Men, Spider-Man, that kind of thing. So definitely like getting up on Saturday to like watch those cartoons was a big thing. But yeah, I think dinosaurs is something that like, mentally at the end of every week on TGIF, I'm going to be watching this show. That was probably my big one from like the TGI era of my childhood. TGIF era of my childhood. But I also used to watch Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman with my great grandma. So there was that. I spent a lot of time at her house and we watched Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Should we make a Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman podcast?
I'm all about it.
I guess that's it. We did it. We're back. Hey, you know what my favorite, speaking of dinosaurs, you know what my favorite cartoon dinosaur movie from the 90s is? We're back. And that's us. Anyway, Royce, you want to do the end of the show?
All right, listeners. What have you been into for the past 4 months? Catch us up in 140 characters or less on Twitter at Krypton Alderaan or Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or pew us an email, krypton2alderaan@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. It's been a while, but we'll be back in 1 to 2 weeks, hopefully. Stay tuned. I've been Royce.
I've been Robin.
I've been Lorelai.
And I've been your villain of the week.
And we've been
Krypton to Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.